One man, one needle. 2.4 million lives saved. 1,951. Australia. A 14-year-old boy named James Harrison wakes up in a hospital bed. 100 stitches across his chest. Doctors just removed one of his lungs. To survive, he needed 13 units of blood. From 13 strangers? People whose names he'd never know? His father sat beside him and said something that changed his life. "Son, you're only alive because people donated blood." That day, young James made a promise. But this wasn't just any promise. It was one problem. James was terrified of needles. But in 1954, the day he turned 18, he walked into that blood donation center anyway. He sat in the chair, looked at the ceiling, and let the nurse insert the needle. He never looked, not once. But a few weeks later, doctors discovered something. His blood wasn't normal. His blood contained an extremely rare antibody that could save thousands of babies. At that time, thousands of babies were dying every year in Australia from Rhesus Disease. When an Rh-negative mother carried an Rh-positive baby, her body would attack the baby's blood cells. The result? Miscarriages, stillbirths, brain damage. James's blood had the solution. Doctors asked him, "Will you donate plasma?" That meant 90 minutes instead of 20 every few weeks for the rest of his life. And he was still terrified of needles. But James thought about those babies, those families, those lives. He said yes. And this is where an incredible journey began. 64 years. 1,173 donations. Never missed a single appointment. Through happiness, through grief. During his job as a railway clerk, through retirement. Even in 2005, when his wife Barbara passed away his darkest days, every single time he stared at the ceiling, talked to the nurses, looked at the walls, anything to avoid looking at that needle. The fear never went away, but he never stopped showing up. And then something incredible happened. When his own daughter got pregnant, she needed the very medicine made from his blood. His grandson Scott is alive today, because Grandpa made that choice decades earlier. May 2018. James was 81 years old. Australian law required this to be his final donation. The room was filled with mothers, holding healthy babies in their arms, living proof of his quiet heroism. They thanked him through tears. James sat in that chair one last time, looked away from his arm one last time, and gave his 1,173rd donation. 3 million doses of anti-D medicine created. 2.4 million babies' lives saved. 64 years of service. One terrified man. When people called him a hero, he'd brush it off. "I sit in a safe room and donate blood. They give me a cup of coffee and some cookies. Then I go about my day. No big deal." February 17th, 2025. James Harrison passed away peacefully in his sleep. He was 88 years old. But he lives on in 2.4 million heartbeats. 2.4 million lives. 2.4 million families who exist because one man refused to let fear win. A hero isn't someone without fear. A hero is someone who does the right thing despite the fear. James Harrison was scared for 64 years, but he showed up anyway. And that one decision saved millions. Think about this today. What small act of courage could you do, even if it scares you? Donate blood? Help a stranger? Start that charity? Speak up for what's right. Remember, small actions can create massive change. If this story inspired you, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more incredible true stories. And comment below. What's one fear you'd overcome to make the world better? Because the world needs heroes like you. One needle, one man. 2.4 million miracles. This is the story of James Harrison.